Here we go. Welcome to episode 1843 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com. And of course, one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you got to get out. And well, you know, again, I talked about this with hashtag Scotty G last week on the shows. As a sports fan, this past weekend, man, it's the pits. I mean, there's no football. College is like a distant memory at this point, college football. We have the Super Bowl next weekend, so don't forget, no live show next Sunday night. This Sunday night, or we had ours, but not next Sunday night. But yeah, no football. You know, I'm a college basketball fan when it comes to Mizzou, but not other schools. And so, yeah, how about some spring training? Or, you know, when's the spring game? I'm ready for some action, and things are slowing down. So not good. But anyway, we're going to talk Disney. That's what we do to get you through all the times of the year. And I'm excited because we're staying in SEC country today, heading down to Georgia. Matt's joining us today. Matt, happy Monday. How you doing?
Happy Monday. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here, and a Dogs fan down there in Georgia. So what's your background? I mean, do you agree with me that this is kind of a rough weekend that we went through this past weekend with sports? It's kind of depressing.
Yeah, it was a little dry, a little boring. I'm ready for baseball to take off. Go Braves.
Braves fan, yeah. You guys, tough team. A lot of rivalries between the Braves and Cardinals. Yeah.
Yep.
I won't even say the words infield fly, you know. Mike Banka, don't get me on that one. Anyway. All right. So today we got a trip report lined up for you. We're going to be talking about your trip you guys took. You stayed off site, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And you were down at Walt Disney World that week prior to Christmas. So, you know, not that insane week between Christmas and New Year's, but before that. But before we hop into the trip report, I like doing this, kind of getting some background on our listeners, and give us kind of your story. You know, why are you listening to a Disney podcast? What's your story with traveling to a Disney destination?
Yeah, so I have been fortunate enough to been going to Disney since I was 3 years old. My first trip was in 2003, and we've been going off and on ever since. And I think I've been about 10 times in total. But I mean, I grew up on the Disney movies, go see them in theaters, love them. Tangled's my favorite. So I want some more Tangled representation in the parks. But yeah,
we actually have a listener who she drew some of the Tangled animated stuff, and she listed
really?
Alexis, yes, up in Canada.
That's really cool.
I know, how cool is that? I was watching
your work then.
I know. We were watching that drone show they had at Disney Springs back in 2016. She comes up, she's a listener, and we're talking, we're like, these drones are awesome. She's like, I listen to your show. I was like, that's cool. And we got on, I'm like, I draw. I'm like, oh, you draw? Well, Tangled. I'm like, yeah, I draw some of that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Okay, wow. Whatever. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. Yeah, but Tangled, great movie. So you make me feel old, for one thing, because you've been going since I was like teaching by then. But so being in Georgia, let me ask you this. It's kind of almost like a regional destination. Walt Disney World is for the folks in, especially the Southeast, but Georgia, South Carolina, and so forth. How far of a drive is it for you guys?
It's about 7 hours if you just drive straight there, but we never make it there. And we always stop a couple times. Florida rest stop is a must for us. We love getting that orange juice.
Yep. Same. It was 14.5 from here, and we drove all the time, but we had to time it because it closes, right? It closes in the evening. It doesn't, I think, like 6 a.m. So I mean, we'd have to be like, okay, got to slow down just a bit so that it's open. Yeah, many, and it's like a little shot, of orange juice, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, they have the grapefruit there too, but that's a little too bitter for me.
Yeah, same. All right, so let's hop into your trip. Let's help some folks plan a trip maybe for this coming December. I don't want to talk about winter anymore, but hey, we're gonna have a good time. So now tell us about how this trip came together, because who you traveled with and like how you planned it out. How did it all come together?
Yeah, so originally in 2020, I was supposed to go in May, but obviously with Corona, that kind of got axed. And so the whole reason of the trip in May was to go to Galaxy's Edge. So we were only going to Hollywood Studios. I am a huge Star Wars fan, and like I was dying to go see the land. And so when that trip got canceled, I was like destroyed. I was so upset. And so on down the line in the summer, when Disney World opened back up, My cousin, who hasn't been to Disney since she was like 5, said, "Hey, I want to go to Disney World, and the crowds aren't bad right now, are they?" And I was like, "No, not from what I'm seeing. I hear all great things." And so we started planning a trip for Christmas when she got out of school, and then we booked a hotel, and because we were always going to stay off site, just because to high school and college age, gotta save the
No,
money.
exactly. 100%. I get that, man. I was there. Trust me.
So we book a hotel, and then my parents, they also love Disney. They say, "Hey, we want to go too, so we will book a condo and drive y'all down there, but we're only going to go to like Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom, but y'all, we'll drive you wherever you want to go, etc." And me and my cousin were like, "Yeah, totally, that's awesome."
Yeah, it's like a win-win-win in
Mhm.
my. That's awesome. So now, did you take the lead on? Well, your parents booked the condo, but I mean, were you kind of getting everybody set with like the order you were going to go to the theme parks? Obviously, making theme park reservations, stuff like that this time around.
Yeah, so I've been since our last big trip was in 2018, and since then I have been like bit with a Disney bug and obsessed. And so on this trip, I made all the reservations, booked all the park passes, bought all the tickets, made the plan, and as we'll see later, I was in charge of getting a boarding group, which I 100% had to get that for like me to be like happy on this trip.
Yeah, I don't like to say that, but I'm the same way. We always
Mhm.
tell I'm always like, one experience will not make or break a Disney vacation. And I say, yeah, same thing. But if I don't do rides, there's going to be issues.
Mhm.
I've come 1,000 miles. I want to do it all. Okay, so let me ask you though, real quick, because I want to go through your agenda. You got quite a lot here. You guys stayed at a condo. How did that work out for you guys? How far away were you from Walt Disney World and stuff like that?
We were about 20 minutes from Animal Kingdom, so we were on the kind of that side. We could come in the back way near Animal Kingdom, and I mean, it is a great location. I mean, you're right off I-4, and you're it's I think it was Kissimmee,
Mhm.
so we were 20 minutes away. Not a bad drive at all.
No, and you also are there where you could take if you want to do the $15 helicopter ride, you're probably pretty close to that
Yeah,
too.
yeah, we were close to that strip. I'm not taking that helicopter ride, but yeah, we could have.
It's right by Give Kids the World. Well, because you went there,
Mhm.
but it's right near there. And I told when we drove past that to do our show there that night, I said, $15 for a helicopter ride, I'd pay 30 not to get on the thing. Nope, not me. It is not happening. All right, so let's hop into the trip. First day, I like how you ease into it. You guys arrive and then you go to Disney Springs. So what to just tell us your thoughts on Disney Springs? You guys did chicken. What is it? We have a new place called Chicken Slim Chickens or something. But you did Chicken Guy. You did the Christmas tree stroll. So what do you think about that day?
Yeah, so we got to our condo about 4 o'clock, and we knew we wanted to head over to Disney Springs just to get in the Disney bubble. And so we got there, just walked around for 30 minutes, just looking at the lights because it was almost dark when we got there. And I had, watched YouTube videos, y'all. I heard Chicken Guy was good. And so we went and checked it out. And that ended up being one of our favorite meals we had. Like, it was so good. The sauces were amazing.
Sauces are super good.
I
Yeah.
know. I mean, I didn't get enough chicken. So I only got like the 3 tenders, and I was like, I need more.
See here, you guys have Zaxby's all over the place down
Mhm.
in Georgia. I don't have any in
Oh,
St. Louis,
really?
so I'm already jealous. I have to go all the way out to Columbia to Missouri to Mizzou to get one. But anyway, that's just a side story. I'm jealous of anybody lives in the Southeast. But yeah, Chicken Guy's good. So now, was Disney Springs crowded that night because it was building up to Christmas?
I think so. This was a Thursday night. It was not like the weekend crowds yet. It wasn't bad at all. I mean, there was a wait to get into the world of Disney, but we did the virtual queue, so it wasn't bad at all.
Nice. Nice. And I mean, it kind of acclimates you to having to wear the mask and be around other people, social distancing.
Hmm.
And from what I heard, especially in December, was that Disney Springs was, especially on the weekends, more busy than just because it's not as large. You have
Hmm.
these skinnier corridors for people to pass through. That it was more of a challenge with social distancing than even any of the theme parks or the resorts.
Yeah, it wasn't I didn't mind it. It was fine. I think the inside of the stores kind of felt normal to me, like once you got in there. But I mean, as far as the mask and social distancing, everybody for the most part was pretty good. That was like my first time wearing a mask for like an extended period of time too. So it wasn't it was, I was glad to ease into it.
Yeah, and that's a yeah, great idea. Same for me because I work from home. Like I'll go drive through a place, but I never have a mask on for 2, 3, 8 hours at a time. And so it was especially in August, that was a real wake up call. I went back in December, kind of the same thing. So, all right, now here's kind of the highlight of the trip. Right off the bat, you mentioned you want to go down, you want to see Galaxy's Edge Studios, so forth. So you really got to get that Rise boarding group. So give us the story on, did you get a Rise boarding group and how did it all come out?
Yeah, so this Friday morning, I told everybody, my parents and my cousins, like we got to be up at like 6 o'clock, ready to go because at 7 o'clock the boarding groups drop, and so me and my cousin were in charge of getting the boarding group, and I had my watch, and at 7:59 I'm like shaking. I'm like, oh, I got to get a boarding group, and at 7:59, with like 2 seconds left, I refreshed my screen and the whole process started. I just started tapping as fast as I could. And it said boarding group one. And I was like, no way, this is not real. And so I grabbed my cousin's phone and I made her look to see if it was on her, on our, like, the schedule. And I saw it
Yeah,
was like boarding group one. I was like, no way. I called my sister and woke her up. She was like in bed, and I was like, we got boarding group one. And she's like, what? But I mean, I was jumping up and down. I was so excited.
yeah, it's one of those things when if you got boarding group one, I would kind of freak out thinking it's like an error
Mhm,
or
that's
like it's some default message, it's not real. That, like two, I'd be okay with, or 28 or something. I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, if I got one, I would be second guessing myself.
well, I'd
Thinking,
never seen anybody's phone say boarding group one. I was like, what is this? This isn't real. And so like I was like, I was ecstatic. Like I was, oh my goodness, I was so excited.
so the lowest I've ever had is like in the 60s. And I mean, I do it right at the same
Mhm.
time too. The lowest I've gotten is like 68 or something. So tell me about how then your day unfolds, because I'm sure like you're extremely pumped. You want to get to the park right away because you're in the first group. How do you guys like? How does that morning unfold at the studios?
Yeah, so we drove there, parked. We're not riding, Disney transportation. We get there an hour early, and they're already letting people in. And so we're some of the first people into the park, and I don't they hadn't started Rise yet. So we instantly go to Slinky Dog Dash, walk right onto it, and then we walk right onto Toy Story Mania. And that was our first time in Toy Story Land too. So like that was
Nice.
really cool. My mom really liked that. Slinky Dog Dash, I think, was her favorite. And so after that, we go to Mickey and Minnie's, which is our first time on that too. And we waited in line, I think about 20 minutes. It wasn't bad at all, and that was such a cool ride. I mean, thumbs up. I mean, I don't remember the Great Movie Ride as much, but I loved Mickey and Minnie's.
I agree. Yeah, it's very visual. It's just fun. I
Hmm.
like the little dance room.
The
That's a
dance
lot.
room was fun. Yes,
Everybody's got to like
I
that.
like the.
So you've
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, you've done Toy Story,
Mhm.
Slinky Dog, Toy Story Mania, and you've already done Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I mean, is it like already? Is it only like about 30 minutes, an hour after park opening at this
Yeah,
point? I mean,
it's about 8:20, and I think. Oh
um,
wait, no, actually, the park opened at 9, so it was about 9:30, and we had already done like three big rides.
and that's why you get there early. Don't
Yes,
listen to Mickey. That's exactly it. So,
yes.
how did Rise unfold though? Because you said it, and I understand. Like sometimes it's not operating right at park opening. So obviously you get a push notification at some point.
Yeah, so it was temporarily closed for the first like hour and a half the park was open. So we got a little more time. We went and rode Rock and Roller Coaster. And
Mhm.
then when we were waiting in line for that, it said our boarding group was ready. So after we rode Rock and Roller Coaster, that's one of my favorites. We start heading to Galaxy's Edge, and I hadn't seen Galaxy's Edge, so I wanted to go in kind of the back entrance, so I didn't have to rush through the like seeing the Millennium Falcon and everything. So I know a lot of people have said that like once you get in line for rides, you have to wait like an hour for that as well. But like once we got in line, We were like on the ride in 10 minutes.
Well, because you were group one. Yeah, I've waited an hour. Last time I wrote it in December, we waited at least an hour by the time after they called our group, but we were way late in the day and it kept breaking down. Yeah, it was a nightmare. Waiting in line that day, but I mean, it's worth it. I love the ride. Now,
Mhm.
you mentioned, okay, so you had never been in Galaxy's Edge. Did you try to stay? I mean, again, you watch YouTube videos, you listen to podcasts, and it's been quite a while now at this point. Obviously, really hard to stay away from spoilers, but what was your overall impression of the land? Because that was something you were really looking forward to. Did it meet your expectations? What was it like seeing the Falcons, stuff like that?
I loved it. I mean, I just could like I was just my mouth was kind of jaw dropped as I was just walking and looking around. And for the rides, I hadn't watched any YouTube videos. I stayed away from every spoiler
Yeah.
possible. And so I like walking on the rides, I had no idea what was going to happen except like a few pictures that I had seen. And oh my goodness, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's hard to stay away from this. I was doing the same thing as long as and I stayed pretty spoiler free, especially for Rise, even Smuggler's Run. I mean, you're right. The one picture I think you can't avoid anywhere is that shot where you're in there with all the stormtroopers, and that's not really a spoiler. Everybody's seen that shot. It's in every Disney marketing campaign. But yeah, I avoided everything else, and we're gonna still not spoil things for folks here. But yeah, so Rise lived. I mean, Group One, you don't. There's no sacrifice, right? You
I
walk
know.
right on the thing. So I mean, obviously, you thought
It
it was
was it
pretty
was
decent
amazing.
thing.
And when you because like initially the start of the ride when you first see all those stormtroopers, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like I didn't know how it was going to happen or get to that point. And when the doors open and you see that, I was like, wow.
I know it's so cool. Yeah, yeah, because I've seen the movies so
Mhm.
many times, and you were literally right there, like you were awed
I
from
I
start
know
to
I
finish.
was
It was
I didn't
just
I wasn't prepared for how real it was going to feel.
like I froze up, and then I'm like, oh my god, I got to get a selfie in here to prove I was here.
The
I was like,
only thing I will say, like they kind of rushed us through there. Like we didn't have time at all to like really stand and take pictures. I barely got a selfie.
yeah,
I just wanted to stand in that room and be like, "Whoa."
yeah, I know. Seriously, same. Like I just want to explore. Like, nope, you're going to get interrogated. Get down below.
Mhm.
Anyway. Okay, so moving through because I want to get through this day, but I mean, overall, you guys did Oga's, you did the you Smuggler's Run on the Falcon. Was it there anything else that surprised you? Like, what'd you think of Olga's? Because that's such a unique experience.
So Oga's was really cool. We actually got a reservation so the park closed at 7 and our reservation was at 7:30.
Oh,
And
nice.
so when we got done with Oga's, like we walked out of Galaxy's Edge in the entire park and there wasn't like a soul there. But Oga's canteen was amazing. Like our server was great. He might have been the best server we had the whole trip. And my cousin actually spilt one of her drinks on her, and we teased her because she's only 16. So we were like, did they put something in your drink? But it was amazing. I loved the drinks. The atmosphere was really cool there.
Okay, one other thing from that. No, you got a free num num cookie just
Mhm.
real quick.
Oh,
How'd that happen?
so me and my
That's good.
cousin, I
How'd
had
you
done like I had a list of snacks I wanted to try that I hadn't gotten before, and so I went to get a Jack Jack cookie num num, and the cast member working there, said they were out, but he was gonna to wait to the side, and he was gonna go check and see if they had any like freshly made, and so we waited there about 5 minutes, and the guy comes out with a big cart of these cookies, and he just handed it to us and said, "It's on us. Thanks for waiting." And I was like, "Oh, really? Like, awesome! I'll take a free cookie." And it was a really good. I loved it.
Uh, I've never had one. I need to. I have too many of my other sweet things that I eat. I need to expand my horizons on that. Okay, so now you also had 50s, but we'll skip that for now. I want to make sure we get to everything. So the next day, you guys, and you did the perfect thing, especially in these times. Get a park closing ADR at a restaurant or like Oga's, and if you can get it even past park closing, it's awesome because when you're walking out of that park, they're not chasing you out of there. You can't like take forever, but I mean, you can get some amazing pictures of lands with nobody in them that you're never going to get any other time, because we did the same at Hollywood Studios in August. We did the same at the Magic Kingdom that trip too. God, those pictures still blow me away. All right, so the next day, just you and your cousin head over to Epcot. So this is kind of a day where you guys are on your own and you're doing everything. So walk us through the
Yeah,
highlights of your
so to
Epcot
get to
day.
Epcot, my parents were they had an Old Key West or Olivia's reservation at Old Key West, and so yeah,
I'd have
I
gone with
was.
your parents,
It hurt me that I
right?
didn't get to try it. I really wanted to.
I love that.
And so they dropped us off at the buses at Old Key West to go to Epcot, and I did not know that that bus stop, because it was my first time at that resort. And that, man, we rode the bus through that entire resort, and we were on there for like 30 minutes before we got to Epcot. So
You're right. You're right. I mean, at Old Key West, you're just right across the street from Epcot. Really, you're not far from the park. But if you get on at the first stop at Old Key West,
oh yeah,
you're
I
going
saw
around
the
the.
entire
It's
place.
like a community. You're going around the whole place.
So it was yeah,
That's
I was
funny.
stressed out about the time because I want to be there like the first person in the park, and I was dying. So so we finally get there. Yeah, so we
All
finally
right. So
get
what all did you
there,
guys do?
and
Yeah,
we were gonna go to Test Track first, but the line had already looked, it was pretty long. So instead we make our way back and ride Frozen Ever After. And that was my cousin's first time on that, and she loved it. That was one of her favorite rides. And then we head into the Mexico Pavilion before it got crowded, because you know that place gets a line later on in the day. And so we went on in there and rode
yeah.
the Three Caballeros. That was a fun ride. And then we decided it was time for a Joffrey's donut, which was amazing. Uh,
I love those things. That's like something new that I've started having the
it
last
was I
couple of
was
years. Oh
surprised. I mean,
man, they're so
it's a
good.
big donut too. And so after that, it
Yeah, it is.
it's not something you should eat by yourself, but I could.
Yeah. Oh no, I have, but yeah, you're right.
And
I
so
shouldn't, but
after
I have.
that, we went in to the land pavilion and rode soaring and living with the land. And my cousin, she when we sat down on the ride vehicle for soaring, she's like, "How are the people in the back gonna see?" And so I said, "Just wait." And when it rose up, she's like, "Oh my goodness!" And I mean, it was fun just to see her reaction, because she was essentially doing everything for the first time.
That's cool.
Mhm.
And it's
I
awesome going
really
with somebody
enjoyed
like
that.
that. That makes the
And
trip
so
fun for
after that,
everybody.
we headed and started walking around World Showcase, and we were just looking at the different foods. And I saw it was like a fondue bread bowl, and I was like, I have to get that. And so we got it, and oh my goodness, that was great. It was like a piece of bread and
Oh,
with it
sounds
hollowed out and just cheese in it, melted cheese. It was so good.
that sounds great.
Yeah, and so we also it was cool to see all the characters around just World Showcase and over like near Journey into Imagination. Like, because they just kind of happened to be there when you were walking by. We saw Elsa, Pooh, Alice, and Joy. That was pretty cool just to see them out
Yeah, the
there
characters are cool.
waving.
Yeah, they're just like wandering, waving, jumping around. It's
Mhm.
fun. Now, you also had a lot of Christmas decorations too. Living at the Land had the decorations going on. You have the Christmas music playing. So, I mean, that's something that's a little bonus
Yeah,
when you're
I
down there this
love
time of year.
Christmas, and being there at Christmas time, it was amazing. The living with the land at night was so cool. Like I'd never done that before, and I enjoyed that so much.
I wanted to do that. It just didn't work out with the times I was in Epcot. And especially this year, they had all those Christmas lights. I really wanted to do it. The pictures, I did see a
It
lot of pictures that look great. Now, you also, it says, you guys went through World Showcase towards the end of the day and it was basically empty. You got to wrap up riding Frozen three different times, right? As the park closed. You also saw that show with the Voices of Liberty and the Janitor. So it really sounds like you got a lot done in what still is, I guess, Future World and World Showcase. You got to eat some pizza in back at Via Napoli. So I mean, that's a full day. So you guys were there basically park opening to park closing. And I mean, is this something you would recommend to
Yeah,
folks?
I
I mean, it
think
sounds like you
this
guys had a
this might have
really,
been
really good day.
one of my like my favorite day. I mean, it was just relaxing. I mean, Via Napoli was really good. That was my first time ever eating there, and I really love the pizza. But it was cool just frozen. Okay, so when we walking around, I think the park closed at 10, and by 8 or 9 o'clock there was like nobody there. And I was like, why is everybody going home? This is amazing right now. And so we just walked around World Showcase with basically
Right.
nobody there. We walked into the Canada Pavilion, and back there near the waterfall and everything, there was that was it was almost felt like you weren't supposed to be there. It was so kind of quiet. It was crazy. But yes, we did get to go to Frozen right
Yeah.
before it was like, I think it was 9:50, and we just walked on Frozen, and then we walked it on again, and then we walked on again, and we actually live or video chat FaceTime my sister through the entire ride one time. So that was pretty cool.
Very cool. It also probably
It
made her
did.
jealous, but also very thoughtful at the same time. I like that. And you make a great point though, because when you're there, especially in these times with limited park hours, they're not exactly as long as they were, a year ago. Well, we can say that here for a couple more weeks, and then it'll be a year ago will be, COVID times, which is crazy. But hang in there till the end of the park. And it's so weird because a lot of times these parks would close at like 7 or 8, back in, August, September, October. People would still leave early. Like, I didn't get that. I mean, if the park's only going to be open till like 8 or 9, I don't understand why people would leave unless it's just because they're tired. But the park hours were shorter, yet people, I guess it's like habit. People leave before the park closes. And if you're one of those folks who can hang in there, that last hour or two, anytime though, is just, it's like a paradise for somebody who wants to do a lot of attractions in a short amount of time, like you saw. And especially sticking with one attraction, you can just go time and time again. That's a great point. So, folks are going down for the first, second time. If you can hang in there at park closing, keep riding stuff up until they don't let you
Hmm.
get in line again and have a good time. Good stuff. All right. So now the next day, I like this one because it's chill. You guys had a long day at Epcot, did a lot. This next day was your resort day, and you also mixed in some Disney Springs. And you had, oh my gosh, we're talking Olivia's. This is the other restaurant that gets me down there. It's like Olivia's on steroids. It's Homecoming. Art Smith, Chef Art Smith's out there at Disney Springs. So you're from the South. You said it was delicious. Tell us about the meal.
Oh yeah. So this was my first time at Homecoming, and I had heard y'all talk about it, and I'd heard other podcasts and YouTube channels talk about it. I was like, I gotta try it. And so I went. Oh my goodness, I was not disappointed. Those cheese biscuits. Oh my gosh. But I got the barbecue and the mac and cheese, and that was some of the best mac and cheese I've ever had. It was so cheesy and dense. I was hurting by the time I was done.
You did it right. I never, when I walk out of that place, I regret everything. I'm just like, oh, my stomach, I can't take it. But it was so good because the thing is, what happens to me at homecoming is like, I'm done. Okay, I'm full. I'm done. And then you're waiting for you're chatting it up with everybody you're sitting with. Like, I'll take another bite, and it'll be like 10 more bites, and just regret it instantly.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's so good. All right, so now this day you kind of went around to see the resorts. You rode the Skyliner for the first time. So, what are your thoughts on the sky? A lot of folks haven't. My wife still hasn't seen the Skyliner.
Oh really? Yeah. So the Skyliner was amazing. I That is a great mode of transportation. My mom was excited to ride this because it was her first time too. And when we got on it, like it was amazing. It's so like peaceful, and it's quick. It's really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to show it to my wife if we go down this summer. And she hasn't seen Galaxy's Edge either. She's not as big of she's not a Star Wars geek like me, but she'll like it. But yeah, I'm more excited to show her the Skyliner. Now you also did the monorail resorts. You went to the Riviera, headed over to Geyser Point at Wilderness Lodge. So any highlights, anything that sticks out here a month later from going to all these resorts?
The Tangled mural at Riviera was amazing. I love that. And then Geyser Point. So that was like the thing we ended with that day. And I got some teriyaki wings and French fries, and that was amazing.
Ooh, I love Terry. I didn't know they had those there. I'm all
It was on the bar menu, and
oh,
when I saw them, I was like, I got to get some of those.
I love teriyaki wings. They have a good chicken sandwich, but that even sounds better. So that's why I love these shows. No matter what, like you can find something. God, I love I'm Geyser Point next time I'm there.
Highly
Promise you.
recommend.
But you know what? It'll probably not be on the. I'll go all the way over there. They're like, oh yeah, that was on the menu in December. We changed it. That always happens to me. Like, can't you just make some? It's not that
Well,
hard.
I'm sure you can find something there that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, they have a good chicken sandwich anyway, so it's fine. All right. So now day 5, you kind of split it up. You did Animal Kingdom and just you and your cousin, and then you guys ended the day over at the Night of a Million Lights at Give Kids the World, which we love. We got to broadcast from there at the beginning of December. So walk us through this day because you're kind of dividing into 2 different parts of the day.
Mhm. So the park opened at 7 this day. It was a very early day.
All right, no
And
kidding.
so my parents, God bless them, they dropped us off at 6:30, and we just had in when we got dropped off, we were ahead of all the people that had to park. And so we
All
book
right,
it, and we were like some of the first people into Animal Kingdom. I mean, it's barely daylight. It's still kind of dark outside. And so we go straight for a Flight of Passage. And Pandora is still lit up from it being dark. It was
that's cool.
really cool. And and we walk right on to Flight of Passage. It was amazing. And my
So
cousin, her,
you guys like that one? That met your expectations?
it did. Yeah. See, I had ridden that one once before, so I knew what to expect. But I mean, it was just as good as I remembered it. My cousin was blown away by that one.
Cool. Cool. And you also did Navi River Journey while you're in. I like this. I know that I'm not normal, but I like that one just as much as Flight of Passage. It's just there's so much to see in Navi River Journey.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's cool. It's like a nice, just chill boat ride. I was sad though, the animatronic was not in there when we went through. They were like working on it, so there was
Oh.
just like a projection of it, and I was like so disappointed.
Well, I mean, some people it gives nightmares too, so
I
there
mean,
you could have avoided that. It's huge. It's
it's big.
it is. It's crazy. All right. So then you guys, I guess next you headed over to the safari, and I'm guessing this is right around sunrise or right after. I mean, they always say the best time to do the safari is early in the morning,
Mhm.
right at sunset. So I hope that it worked out for you guys.
Yeah, it was probably about 8:30, or I mean 8 or 8:30 when we were on there, and it was a good ride. There was lots of animals out, rhinos, giraffes, the lions were all out. It was a good ride, and I got to see the goats. I didn't even know those were there, and I was like, "Why are there goats on the safari ride?" But that was pretty cool.
I think they're new.
I
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think they are new though. I thought I read something about that in a press
Mhm.
release. They were making a big deal out of it. We have goats. All right. So you also your cousin first time riding Expedition Everest. That's fun. You mentioned the character floats. I love those at Animal Kingdom. That is the way to see characters floating right under the bridge, right that you're standing on. Nomad Lounge, love that place. You guys had cheeseburger pods. Just, I mean, what still stands? I mean, just the notes you have here. All these things are great stories. But I mean, so the first time for your cousin on Everest, I mean, that'd be a hoot to be with somebody first timer on that
it
roller coaster.
it was. I made her stay away from anything about that ride, and so she didn't know it went backwards or anything. And so I just videoed her the entire time. It was amazing. It was great. She was screaming and hollering. That was fun.
So real quick, because I don't think this is ever going to happen again. Well, maybe I kind of want to say let's hope it doesn't, but I mean I hope they can do something maybe similar. It was Night of a Million Lights over at Give Kids the World, of course. The village is now back open on a limited basis, but it was closed. They had all these Christmas lights. It was amazing. We got to be there to do a show. They were so glad they had us down. It was jaw dropping to me. It reminded me of the Osborne lights they had at the studios back in the day. What was your just real quick thoughts of Night of a Million Lights when you were over to Give Kids the World?
So I heard about it on the show. I was like, well, I got to check that out. And so when I went there, I didn't really know what to expect except what y'all said. But I was really cool. I mean, there were so many lights. I mean, you just are walking down essentially like a tunnel of lights, like every house, every tree. My cousin, the Santa Claus, was there when we went, and she got a really cool picture
Yeah, I
with
love that
him.
picture. The picture is awesome.
I mean,
He's
he
such
was great. I mean, she posed. He's like, "Oh, I can do that too," and he went and posed with her. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, we call that because I have two daughters, so we call that the sorority girl squat, and so Santa was doing the same. It was that is a classic picture because my 13-year-old daughter does that same pose.
It was hilarious. We were dying. It was great.
It's a great it's Santa. Nicely done. I loved it. All right. So now the funny thing is, we were 35 minutes talking into the show and we haven't even mentioned the Magic Kingdom. But instead of starting at the Magic Kingdom, you guys ended at the Magic Kingdom. So walk us through your last day at Walt Disney World, going to the Magic Kingdom and taking that all in.
Yeah, so by this day, me and my cousin we're dead. I mean, we've been going for 4 days straight. I mean, we are done. But I was like, we're finishing this trip strong. And so it was first time getting to see the castle with a new paint job, and I really liked it. It was nice. It was very very pretty. And
Agreed.
so after we were going to go do Splash Mountain first, but it was closed temporarily for that part of the day, which I think my family was kind of relieved that I wasn't making them ride Splash Mountain very first because it was kind of cold that morning.
I'm with your family. I can do it later.
Yeah. So we headed and rode Thunder Mountain instead. We were in the very front of the line for that because when we got in line, it hadn't opened yet. So we walked onto that, and then we walked onto Pirates, did some stuff in Fantasyland. And it was funny because we actually ran into some people we knew from back home on the trip, and they were in line for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And they're like, "Oh, what have y'all all done today?" And we've done like one or two things. It's like, "Oh, well, actually, we've already done 7 rides, and it had only been open for like an hour and 30 minutes." So,
You know what? You got to be careful because that's happened to me at the parks before. Like folks that I've taught with have been down there at the same time, or just folks from home. And the thing is, I'll say exactly what you said. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, we've done like 2 things." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you should have done like 9 by now." But the problem was we did this, and it wasn't a bad problem. They stayed with me the rest of the day. I became their tour guide. Like we had lunch together, we had dinner together. We had a fun time, but it was all of a sudden it was Mike the tour guide. It was crazy.
once you find somebody that knows what they're doing, I mean, you got to stick with them, right?
Yeah, it was like they did not let go, and it was fine. It was actually my assistant principal one year that she's like, "Hey, okay, we're going with you then, since you're such the expert." I'm like, "All right, let's roll. You better keep up." I was like, "I'll drop you. I know you're my boss, but I mean, you're not my boss right now. It's the summertime, and we're at Walt Disney World, so let's go." Now, one of the things on here though you mentioned, it catches my eye because it is one of my absolute favorite things at the Magic Kingdom. The cream cheese pretzel, small thing. God, I love that. So is it you're a fan of that too?
This is my first. I love pretzels, like any kind, like soft, the hard pretzel. I just love pretzels, and I saw this on the menu. I was like, I got to try that, and so I was not disappointed. It was amazing, and it was just a great snack, and it's filling too.
Yeah. It's weird because it's kind of a salty snack, but the cream cheese is a little bit sweet, and so it kind of a little sweet, a little salty. It's just I need one. You're killing me with all these the donuts and the sweet cream cheese pretzel. Oh my gosh, you're killing me. Okay, so your cousin apparently from the notes was looking for Mary Poppins this whole
Mhm.
trip. Last day, got to see her finally.
Yeah, so at Epcot, I know she like Mary Poppins like walks out sometimes and just does a little meet and greet. And we walked through London to try and see her like 4 or 5 times, and she was never out there. We saw Alice twice because she's in the same spot, but we never saw Mary Poppins, and she was disappointed. But I was like, "There's one more chance. She's in a cavalcade," and sure enough, she got an amazing picture that Mary Poppins posed for her, and she stayed there like an extra like 5 seconds, and it made her day. It was a really good moment.
Now, she didn't do the sorority squat like Santa, but I mean, well, you take what you did, she didn't know how to do that. Now, let me ask you about this because this is one of the things, and I can tell you love being there. Like you're savoring every moment, you're savoring every snack. And that's exactly how I am. I mean, you don't get enough time there. It goes like at warp speed once you get there. This is your last day. It starts to become, morning, you're still pretty optimistic. Lunchtime, you're starting to realize, oh my gosh, it's our last day. Time's ticking. Then the sun starts setting and okay, it's getting real. I got to go home tomorrow, So how do you kind of take in those last few hours as it starts to get dark, time is running out? How do you guys, maximize the very end of the trip?
Yeah, so we spend it we see it finally gets dark and we get to see the castle projections, which those are really cool. And the little fireworks they do in between each one, that was nice.
Mhm.
So we saw like two or three of the different ones they have, and then we went and did some shopping before all the shops got crowded. And went through the Main Street Bakery, got some snacks. It was some good time. And so after that, we right before the park is closing, my mom's favorite ride is Thunder Mountain, and so we go get in line, do Thunder. It's like a 10-minute wait. Finish that, and Thunder Mountain is just so much better in the dark. I don't
It is.
know why, but it's
You're
amazing.
right. 100%.
And so right after we get off Thunder, we do it again, and that was like the closing of the rides for Magic Kingdom. And so we just casually stroll back and just kind of sit on the hub grass for about 20, 30 minutes and just enjoy the castle. And I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, I hear you. Back to the real world.
Mhm.
I mean, at least you went right before Christmas. So you had, Christmas to look forward to. I mean, there are worse times. Like if you go home like January 3rd or something, you're like, oh man, I'm going home to this January. Ugh.
Mhm.
I mean, at least you had that. And of course, you mentioned at the end, you had 2 notes for after you left. Post Disney depression is real. Absolutely. Everybody knows that. And then Chick-fil-A helped.
It did help. It did help.
You sound like my daughter. She loves Chick-fil-A.
Those chicken minis, they make it a little easier to drive away. Not much, but a little.
And I love those chicken minis. Those are so good. Those sweet little rolls. No, but it sounds like you really had a good trip, and your cousin was lucky. I mean, she got to do a lot of stuff she had never done before, and having somebody that can put her in the right spot, where you're not waiting forever to do these experiences, that makes it all the better. What's your cousin said since you guys have been home? I mean, I'm sure you've talked about the trip. What was her feedback?
She wants to go back. I mean, the other day she was like, "We should just do a weekend trip real quick." I got time. I was like, "Yeah, I got time too, but I don't have the money." Like,
Oh yeah,
I
that's
was like, "We got to recover a little bit, and then we'll go again."
amen. That's so true. That's so true. You never have both. You either have the time and no money, or you might have the money, but then you never have the time. So yeah, it's a tough predicament. But hey, Matt, it's been a good time talking about this trip, man. It sounds like you had a blast. I'd love to be down there at the same time you are and hang out sometime. But thanks for taking some time to come on the show here on a Monday and share it, and really getting our week started the right way. So thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a ton of fun.
All right. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Drop by their site today over at themagicforless.com. Check out all the great trip planning tools, resort guides, all the good stuff. You want to stay at Pop Century, Caribbean Beach, Coronado is awesome. Stay at the Grand Floridian if you're going big. Wherever you want to stay, 2021, there's some great discounts out there right now. And get those tickets, the hotel reservation, make your theme park reservations, and boom. 2021 is looking a lot better. You're counting down to that next trip. Fill out that quote form while you're there. Put in some dates, a resort or two, and mention the Be Our Guest podcast, and you and I are going to be working together planning a great trip. So check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Even the small purchases do help. You might not think so, but they do. It's a free way to support the show. So please, just that one extra click helps us out a lot. beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And finally, huge thank you to our patrons. We love talking with you over at the little mini podcast, Mike in the Midwest, every Thursday. This week, we talked about something. I went a little nerdy on Mike in the Midwest this past week. We talked about how running a BBS, and this is way before your day, Matt, running a BBS, which was a bulletin board system, led to the Be Our Guest podcast. This is from when I was 10 years old. So that's kind of an interesting story. If you want stuff like that, nerdy, sometimes nostalgic, we do that every Thursday. It's over at patreon.com/Be Our Guest podcast. Give us a follow on the social media, Instagram and Twitter at Be Our Guest Mike and at Be Our Guest Pod. And of course, subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube, and you'll get alerts every time we go live, and you can join us and chat away and have a good time. Don't forget, on Sunday nights, except for this Sunday, it's Super Bowl Sunday, so we're not Superb Owl, I should say, Sunday, so we don't get sued. No, just kidding. But no show this Sunday, but most Sunday nights, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, we take your calls for an hour and just talk about all kinds of Disney stuff. It's a ton of fun. All right, time to get out of here and let you get on with your Monday. We're going to have a great week, right? We are. All right. For Matt, I'm Mike. Wishing you a great Monday. Time to head back to work, and we'll see you real soon. Nope, Matt was not there on Christmas. You left. What Alfred's asking? You left on what? The
I
23rd?
left on the 23rd, yes. And
Yeah.
Alfred, yes, I would love to ride Splash Mountain with you. I saw your chat.
Alfred wants to ride Splash Mountain with everybody. I got to ride with him sometime too. Let me say this real quick before I lose it.
I'm hoping to run Disney race sometimes.
Oh man, I just wanted the same. Yeah, so you need to do if you haven't done one. They're so much fun. It's gonna be so
I've never
hard.
done one, and when I got into running kind of last year. That's kind of like what I did during Corona, and so I'm like dying to do a Run Disney race now.
Sign up. They're a blast, man. They're so much fun. And you are you're a go-getter. You're up early. It's made for you. Like you'd have a blast. I'm telling you.
When does for just a quick question, when does like the marathon weekend, when do you usually sign up for that, like in a normal year?
In a normal year, it's usually in April.
Okay.
So who knows this year though? I mean, and I'm just saying, like, I mean, you got to be, like you were talking about getting your rise boarding. It's like 10 times worse because I mean, the stress level, like signing up for under normal circumstances, it was not so bad, but everybody's like missed so many races at this point. Almost everybody that's ever done a race is like, next time I can sign up for a race, I'm signing up. I mean, I'm the same way. So it's going to be like a lottery. I can't even imagine. It'll be crazy. Yeah, Alfred says, yeah, I can join you guys. Yes, thank you, Alfred. I appreciate it. You're very nice. And Debbie Gibson there. Nice. That's yeah, I can't what album? I think that is Lost in Your Eyes or something. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna get out of here, Matt, and head upstairs. But nice meeting you. And if you ever need anything, give me a yell. Thanks for doing the show.
Yes, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, tell your parents and everybody I said hey.
All right, see you. Thank you.
See you, everybody. Bye-bye.